Editor, if we see any like slurs or like death threats or whatever, please crop that out. Welcome back. It has been a hot minute. So, the day of recording this video, I'm not sure if y'all still remember history, but one of the greatest, if not the greatest, gacha game statement has been made on this fateful day by none other than yours truly. Alright, so if you guys have any sentiments as to what I'm talking about, maybe you have seen people using this phrase here and there in your gacha communities near you, but yes, I am in fact talking about this. Exactly 1 year ago, MrPokke shout out to self-licked, MrPokke at MrPokke came up with this classic banger. Honkai Star Rail has a power creep problem only if you allow it to happen. Either by greed or stupidity, change my mind. And boy, oh boy, how fast has time flown? How fast has time flown in the course of this 365 days? Now, of course, going into 2026, Prime Pokke, right? War Pokke is long gone, right? But I just figured it would be pretty interesting to take a look back into the comment section as well as quote retweets today, which I've already seen a couple when I was like scrolling through. It is in fact a cathartic experience. So in case you guys don't know what I had to Google what this word means because MrPokke is a filthy Chinese. I have no idea what English language actually does. So cathartic is like a emotion of like a release of like something that's been penned up for a very long time, and then you have like this feeling of catharsis. I think the best way to go about it is like after you have been trying out for, okay, it's like don't worry about it. So this is pretty much what I have been seeing. And fast forward 1 year, we are finally gonna be able to take a look into this statement. And on top of this statement, our free-to-play account that we have created also hits their 1 year old birthday. Alright, so for our free-to-play account, I actually already made this quick little video last time where I went through my free-to-play account's progression with regards to the units we put, the light cones we put, the endgame content we did, and the directions, investments, relics, idolants, how we want to bring Bob within the entirety of version 3, as well as now going into version 4. So the most important thing for this free-to-play thing is essentially, I've seen the sentiments as well as comments. I think I've also made a previous video where we had a pretty long discussion as to how we want to go about doing this pooling choices for Bob, which is for the longest time, I always believe that if you are a free-to-play player, if you wanted to play Honkai Star Rail with the least level of difficulty, alright, least level of difficulty as a free-to-play, you pull for the flagship. And you log into for a flagship, and you will pretty much have no problems whatsoever. So we did have this comment from like another channel, which is can see from this over here. I already made this video, so I'm not going to repeat myself again. But essentially, it's like, I want to see what Bob can actually do if we pull in version 4, but not the flagship. So we still pull and apply our same sentiments when it comes to investing as a free-to-play, especially as a free-to-play, but to focus on a non-flagship team and see how that's going to do. Because we all know by now, non-flagships, although with vertical investments, they are still going to be able to clear endgame content very, very well. It will definitely not be to the same degree of like comfort as well as strength to the flagship, right? So that is going to be our major change for our Bob account going into version 4. Not putting for the Elation flagship, and we'll see who are like the finals, the D Herdas, right? The Aglayas of this team, and whichever one is going to be, we'll log in for that. So that is going to be a quick little update, and without further ado, it's time to take a look at the comment section. Okay, actually, before we take a look into this comment section, I'm just going to see like who actually replied to this first, because it has been a little bit. So let's take a look, right? Funniest part is that, oh, it's Tam60, the Pokemon guy. Funniest part is that the people are genuinely expecting the Remembrance team to suddenly suffer for you in version 4, when at worst it's gonna start 3 cycling or something. I see a few people who are disregarding this just because you have prior experience in the game, and that's so funny to me, Lamau. I started a year ago at the tail of Pentagon without knowing a damn thing about Hall in general, and I've never had any real power creep issues. Bob's account is only 1 year old. Day 1 HSR players don't have issues in clearing content of their old units in year 1. Power creep issue will start for Bob now. That's exactly what I want to see, right? That's exactly because I've also stated this when I first went on my Bob journey, which is I know for a goddamn fact Bob will not have issues when it comes to version 3. Because version 3 is the version in which Bob has the highest number of pulls as a fresh free account. But going into version 4, that's when a majority of our stash has already been used up as a free play, right? So now we actually really need to weigh our options way more carefully, and we cannot suka anyhow, right? So we'll see how this is gonna be once the 4.x anniversary, which is basically the flagship, making Mono Remembrance team weak in comparison to 4.x. So we will see how that's gonna be going. Except you started with more pools than the average normie while stalking every. That's just lying, by the way. I am not saying you did bad, but you don't even address people liking a specific unit and not being able to make it work. If somebody do like a specific unit, they can definitely make it work. They can. If they can't make that specific unit work, you wouldn't see any other team clearing endgame content aside from the Remembrance flagship. I'm talking about the Eglea mains, the Maide mains, the Phyton mains, the Evernight mains, the Harda mains, the Archer and Saber mains, right? If they wanted to make it work, they can make it work. But that is just gonna be my take. So let's just go for a little bit. Considering how V4 is looking, I'm so curious to see how your free-to-play account will handle power creep. Will it continue to clear as usual, or will your current teams take a significant hit once they are anti-shield to the point of being unplayable? To be completely blunt, if our Remembrance flagship went from 0 cycling on full auto with 1 button to not clearing endgame content in 1 version, I think there will be something seriously wrong with HSR. I'm not talking about not 0 cycling. I'm talking about to the point of being unplayable, right? So we'll see how that goes. You're absolutely right though, but because if this does happen, I will retract my statement, right? If this does happen, so we'll see what's up. Except you already have 3+ years of knowledge of who to pull and skip. Folks with no HSR hindsight is gonna say it's for break photo of Phyton. Also, you have literally everyone growing the fuck out about actual free to plays doesn't have the luxury to have a bro. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. If you are free to play, you still need to play the game. Alright, like whether or not you spend the money on the game, or you don't spend money on the game, you probably still need to play the game. I don't hide the fact that we have a Bob Council to manage our stories, events, as well as I spend our stamina. Because Bob is not the only thing I'm doing. Alright, I am just there to essentially simulate what will happen to a free-to-play account if they do play HSR. Because let's just be real, most free-to-play players, they are probably not running another account. Most free-to-play players, they are not playing 10 different gacha games at the same time, unless you are genuinely addicted to gacha gaming. And most free-to-play players, respectively, don't stream 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, building Gundam, yapping, playing Uma Musume, stalling with daily village, right? So each person's circumstance at the end of the day, it is not going to be something that I can address fully, but I try to do the best I can to simulate what is going to be the circumstances that we have for the account that we have, right? Although I will concede, our Bob account is extremely lucky, alright? Bro has 90% win rate in 50-50s for now. So if version 4 is gonna be a bad year for Bob, it might be a little bit scary. Because I am a firm believer in law of large numbers. What goes up will eventually come down. The question is just, when does it come, right? Okay, hard to agree. If people know how to play and know where to invest, any endgame is possible. Yippee, I was assured the game would be ruined by global passes by now. How did they know? Bro, I remember back in my days, apparently we're gonna have 3 more global passives after Castris. Exceptional. EMR Very, very good. Considering how many wacky arbitration clears I've seen, the post only seems more true overnight. The most relatable HSCC. And there it is. It's so beautiful seeing the most relatable HSC account grow to be 1 year old. Prime Pogi. It's hilarious how this post snowballed into something bigger, but it is what it is. I don't think your philosophy was difficult to understand, but the wording did trigger people. You tell gacha players to stop summoning on every banner, they will... Hear me out, guys. If you are a free-to-play... Actually, fuck, you don't even need to be... If you are a gacha player, you don't need to pull on every banner. You don't need to pull on the shiniest new thing they come out the moment it comes out. Just because an endgame content and endgame environment is made to shield for that new thing, you don't need it, bro. But that is an excellent point. To my tweet last year, yeah, we still got no 4 stars yet. I'm just gonna give an example of how other horror games... Genshin Impact. Exceptional. Even after 5.0, people are still able to use old characters of Forza with good rotation, being compared to HSR, where if you see Jingyuan, Silla, Xiu, Shu Shang, and other old units, their damage not even comparable for recent STD. If you are talking about individual units, I concede. It is like way more difficult. But maybe, right? Maybe the brand new versions where we see brand new changes on what is to come. Except for that, we have no idea what's going to be coming, correct? Because we only know that Sparkle and Black Swan is getting buffed. I don't know if they're going to buff like 4 stars. Silver Wolf kind of changed it because this was before Silver Wolf got buffed. And she does have a pretty okay-ish of usage. Silla Jingyuan, to a certain extent, the older DPSs in Singapore, that's in Singapore. The older DPSs in Star Rail, they will always get like indirectly buff here and there from the new supports. Because it is always like Honkai support rail. Because even till this day, there are Silla clears. There are Jingyuan clears. Is it comfortable? Hell no. It is definitely not comfortable, right? It is nowhere near the same level of comfort they are going to be getting compared to like your flagships and your version 3 DPS. Whether you want to make it work, that is ultimately going to be up to you. So for example, for my Bob, right? Eventually, Bob is going to reach this stage as well, right? There will eventually come one day where even our Remembrance flagship can become like a Silla Jingyuan, right? Maybe 2 to 3 years later, they come up with their new things, new whatever it's going to be. Even Casteris could be in this predicament. And we might need to just see like, do I want to try that much harder to make them work? Because at the end of the day, currency is still going to come in, right? Income is still going to come in. It just ultimately depends on like, where are you going to bring those pools to in all the future versions. So this is honestly a pretty decent point. Happy birthday, Bob. Sometimes people might not be greedy and stupid. They just happen to be a filthy casual. I don't know what I was drooling. I was just having fun. Okay, I feel like this thing, right? Like real casuals that don't care about like whether or not what they're doing is gonna be like meta, right? Whether they're gonna be clearing it efficiently, it has never been like part of the discussion. Like if the casual player base, they're just there to play the story. They want to play like the AWU PvP event. They want to play like Bubbin. They want to play the bird. It doesn't really matter. It is more so like if you are trying to clear endgame content, right? But on the at the same time, you're also getting like this greed because of what like gacha companies have created to build this greed up into your mindset. Because at the end of the day, it is a gacha unit, right? They're gonna make the FOMO, they're gonna make the short environment, and it's just ultimately on whether you want to feel baited, feel greedy, and feel a little bit silly, a little bit stupid, pulling for those units. So that's just gonna be ultimately up to you. HSR fell off, bruh. Also, you put strong idolins like E1 Tribi, and not everyone can pull for a child character twice in a row and win their 50-50. I know exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Genuinely Respectfully, I know exactly, because all free-to-play players shouldn't have idolins, right? We are free-to-play players. Of course, we lose every single one of our 50-50s. We don't get a single cylinder like Hun. We never get a single good relic luck. No crit rolls, no speed rolls, no nothing. And at the end of the day, free-to-plays are only supposed to play at E0 S0. If you don't play at E0 S0 as a free-to-play, you are basically not a free-to-play. You are just a filthy, I don't know, you're a pretender. You are not free-to-play. So I absolutely agree. W statement, very, very good. Nice bait. Nice bait, but don't call it free to play, especially if you're claiming you can 3-star king in that whale game mode. There's no way to save enough pools as a free to play, especially if you didn't put in any patch since 2.0. So if I don't clear anomaly arbitration, then I am free to play. Very interesting statement. That's the first, right? W Patrick. Let's move on a little bit. As someone with 2 free-to-play accounts carrying endgame content currently, since I want to try a lot of different characters, I agree with your first statement, but it doesn't apply to a lot of people, and it just works very poorly. W free-to-play. I will say that this can definitely improve by quite a bit, but unfortunately, you are using a... Okay, honestly, I think this could be like a lot better. You swap this to this side. By putting your Evernight in the middle, there's an increased odds of the jellyfish getting hit, which can then give you a little bit more AoE. Just a little bit of a on min-max. If you have Huan Huan, run Huan Huan. If you have no Huan Huan, frankly speaking, Saber is just like really sus in pure fiction with this setup. So if you do have another alternative team, I think it's gonna be that. So for example, right, you have this. I think this team is honestly really good. You literally got a 40k full clear. So if you can run something like this, I don't think you need to think too much about running the Saber team. So W team, W expert. People are talking about 4.0 like characters of final will not be able to clear. Like bro, yeah, at worst you can't 0 cycle, but 3 cycle, oh my god. Bro, if you can't 0 cycle in HSR, your account is literally bricked. Like that is just a reality. The moment you are not a tier 0 unit, your life is over, by the way. Power creep would have ruined your account because what used to be a 0 cycle is no longer a 0 cycle because, surprise, the shield environment goes away and then the new shield environment came in for the new shield units. So you're absolutely right. If you can't 0 cycle, you're done, right? They hated you for speaking the truth. Power creep exists, only people allowed. The fact that E1 as one of the new fires are normalized enough is proven. Enjoy a day game, and that is greedy and stupid. This guy, etc. Okay, I'm not going to show spam because there might be like crazy ass words over there. So with the first post comments out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this over here. It's been 1 year. Going to the quotes. Box 2. Nah, bro, HSR has a power creep problem and you can't just not allow it to happen. You can make smarter posts, but that doesn't solve power creep. It just makes it slightly less bad. Plus, you're not taking into account of people with shit like, what if it takes me max 180 points to get a new character every banner and you are free to play? This part is true. You are playing a gacha game. Wah. You know, you are like extremely lucky. So I concede with this point. That being said, technically this does make it better. Because at the end of the day, it's always law of large numbers. Alright? Like, if you can go ahead and pull for those units that can make that team work, it will be less difficult for you. It will. And we are not talking about it to the point where the game is unplayable. And I feel like HSR has been going through this, I think, for the past 1 year. It has been like one of those games where, like, if you say power creep, you will automatically think of HSR. When in reality, I just don't think that's the case. You can call me a show, you can call me whatever, because this is coming from the opinion of someone that plays like all those like arch games. I'm talking about like Uma Musume, right? Epic 7, Stellar Sora. Okay, to be fair, Stellar Sora honestly is not there yet. CZN, and all those little games that we play in between, HSR, genuinely speaking, is super not that deep. At best, you pull for a new unit for the sake of getting like full 30-star clear on the endgame content, and at worst, you waste like out of 160 pulls for an endgame content rotation that goes within 6 weeks. So it will never ever be that worth it. But the moment you decide, okay, you know what, I want to lock in for that one unit, you can in fact just make that team a lot more viable for you. So W box still very good. My bad, guys. I will all caps next time. Honestly, you're right, MrPokke. Next, I honestly should have went back in and all caps, bold, italics on the A and problem, because I think people definitely misinterpreted this tweet into saying like, I'm saying HSR has no power creep. I think fundamentally at the end of the day, every single gacha game has power creep. And I don't think anyone out there in this world can disprove that. The question is just whether or not, even though a gacha game has power creep, how do you address the problem that the power creep caused your account? You know what I'm saying? So this is at W MrPokke. Very, very good. Very, very nice. Real. Oh, this is pretty much nobody proved me wrong. And then we have another two. Okay, respectively 200 comments is gonna be a little bit long. So let's just go. Gacha smack. W Gacha smack. I would love for you and me to sit down and take a good long gander at every single banner that has ever released in HSR along with their context. Then have you walk me through this 5,000 IQ stage of the 6-file strategy of avoiding the power creep problem with only battle pass, multi-pass purchases, never mind the free-to-play players. The banner aggression paired with resource acquisition and 50-50s is simply too abysmal regardless of horizontal and vertical pathing plans and insight. You have videos on our channel that have aged do the power creep by a show of us do. This is an exemplary corporate slop glorping, but I still love him. W Gacha Smack. So 1 year later, unfortunately, Gacha Smack has already quit Honkai Starfield. It has been 1 year 07s, but it is not related to power creep. I think Gacha Smack quit because of Castris and global passive, which is like a complete separate topic altogether. I do think that this particular statement is not so true. For a free-to-play, I will include free-to-play. For a free-to-play, this is the best way to go about it. Because at the end of the day, you will ultimately spend less pools if you log in for one team instead of changing one new team every single patch. It is just a matter of fact. So like even till this day, right, people that have logged in vertical pathing for, let's just say for example Akron, right, let's just say for example Facial, let's just say for example like even like the Super Breakers, right, you technically would have saved all those pools that you would otherwise spend for version 3. Like you don't need the Herda, Agleia, Maide, Casuals, whatever. For that one team that you desire to log in back in version 2, you can still use them till this day. Then at best, maybe you spend like one cost more to make them a lot better. Which is that, for example, Cypher's role for Facial as well as Akron, as well as Dahlia's role for pretty much the entire Super Break archetype for one cost, right? Instead of every single time a new thing comes out, you hit up with a new DPS, right? You hit up with the new DPS plus the new vertical investments, and maybe you want to get, let's just say, like E1, E2s, depending on like, what the support is going to be, right? And on top of that, I think for this particular time, we didn't know how good RMC was. RMC, I personally think they made it like super good for a lot of free-to-plays. RMC back then, it was not a thing because we didn't know RMC was going to happen. But I was very glad that RMC actually happened because it unlocked a lot of paths when it comes to the different teams that you can run RMC with. In particular, pretty much almost the entirety of version 3, especially if you want to get Cyrene, as well as, let's just say, for a couple of sustainers runs in version 2. So that is going to be that W Gacha Smack, a very good, very nice. Final phase tomorrow, very good. Sip, Steven. Allow it. Han. It is as simple as HP totals goes up every patch. Who's allowing everything? It is out of the player's control. I think this is a very good point, which is HP inflation and the increase of difficulty in content for HSR from 1 year ago up until this day. This thing is beyond people's control. Because if the devs want to shield for a specific environment, if the devs want to introduce a new mechanic that can make their rate up like a lot better, that's up to them. But what the players can actually do is to see which of those units that they have invested, they want to bring them into that team. Because HP inflation is definitely there, right? It's definitely there. But at the end of the day, it is still about the concept of clearing. Because we are basically just talking about endgame clears, right? Like if you don't care about meta, if you don't care about endgame clears, then none of it will matter. But I would say that 1 year later, right? Personally, I think version 3, the power scaling, it has been done a lot more comfortable compared to version 1 of version 2. Because in version 1 of version 2, if for whatever reason you want to skip out on Super Break, which is like the most accessible team with like Runway as well as HMC, and you decide to skip out on using HMC, the choices you're often left with, it is just going to be Akron. right? It is like the single strongest crit DPS we have seen since version 2, which made a lot of the older version 1 DPSs that much weaker. And we didn't really have a proper way of like pulling the version 1 DPS into version 2. Whereas the contrast for version 3, even if, let's just say, you don't want to run the Remembrance flagship, you still had a lot of different alternatives that you could run in version 3, or getting those units to upgrade your version 2 into version 3. So the way that version 3 was structured, honestly, I think they handled it way better compared to 1 and 2. But that is just gonna be my personal opinion. Let me know how you felt when it comes to the overall clearing content in HSR, whether or not you are going to be running Remembrance flagship or not running Remembrance flagship, right? So this is going to be that. My healer that I use as a DPS that came out in 2.5, 3-cycled both sides of MOC 12, while the best 5-star Ice DPS in the game that came out in 1.4 couldn't even clear the Ice Weak side. Pulling Jingliu wasn't stupidity, she just got power crept hard. Ooh, wait, is this Aventrine? I think it's Aventrine, right? 2.5. Is this Aventrine or is this Lingsha? Oh, it's Lingsha? Okay. Okay, Lingsha. Okay, this makes a lot more sense because I don't think that Aventrine himself can actually be a main DPS, but Lingsha by herself is not that insane of a unit. And fast forward 1 year later, I think this take legitimately aged so well, because if you did in fact pull for Lingsha, right, and you ran her as a DPS, I think it's great. But the moment you want to pull this unit with hopes of making Super Break like sustain better, you will come to realize that it will get a lot more difficult, especially if nowadays we have gotten all these units here and there in version 3 to make your older team stronger. Case in point, Dahlia, right? I think Lingsha DPS now is fine. But Lingsha as a sustain now in Super Break would legitimately just make the team like go down by quite a decent chunk. Also, Gallagher is Gallagher. On the flip side, we didn't know Jingliu was getting buffed back then. To be fair, even though Jingliu got buffed, she is not going to be coming in terms of like meta and getting like them 0 cycles or 1 cycles. I would say that she can still clear, just not as comfortable, because she was able to make use of like all of the HP shielding with like your Tribi and highs and everything. But that being said, if you were to use that DPS that you put back in version 1 and you made no cost investments, right? You have been using the same unit for like at this point 2 years. Then even if that unit fell off, wouldn't it be good that you didn't invest as much cost? Because you would have already saved all those costs going into the next version. So the best example I can think of for this, right, is right now, Bob. Let's just say Bob's D Herda is going to be a Jingliu. If Bob's D Herda is going to be a Jingliu and D Herda falls off completely, just like exactly what happens to this, right? If let's just say version 4 releases sustain, right? If they release a Elation sustain equivalent and the Elation sustain clears faster than my E0 S0 D Herda, it wouldn't make me suddenly want to pull that Elation sustain. Because I know for a fact that I'm saving those pulls into something that I want to commit in the first place. So I think this is a very, very good take that kind of just showed that at the end of the day, there will always be that FOMO of pulling that brand new shiny unit, that brand new shiny DPS, or even at this case sustain, getting a very, very good clear, because surprise, surprise, back in 2.5, we have a lot of break shield environments, but the moment this thing goes away, what value would that unit provide to your account if you just pull for the sake of clearing any content back then, right? So, WW comparison for Maddie, very nice. Sarah of the Lake. Sarah of the Lake. HSR has power creep. It only becomes a problem if you're allowed to be a problem. Either I agree or say, holy cow. Okay, so Sarah is basically giving me a grammar and punctuation lesson. W Sarah. So this is our anniversary from 4 hours ago. Oh my god, M60. I mostly agree, but you have to acknowledge that the strategy to inflate enemy HP and continuously release 5 stars that can make the content significantly easier to play. I 100% agree. 100%. This has been a formula with the whole flagship thingy, which I think it will be a lot better visited going into version 4, because we proved that as a free-to-play player, if you invested in that one team, right? Because I'm not a horizontal player for my free-to-play account. I didn't pull for Finon. I didn't pull for, at least my main DPS at Nexa, because I didn't pull Servidra. I didn't really care that much about Aglea. I didn't pull for Aglea, but I mainly just logged in to that one team. So I want to see if, going forward into the next one, right, I am definitely going to get baited, right? Because our initial pools are running out. Going into version 4, we have roughly 200-ish pools. The moment I lose a single 50-50, I think my free-to-play account will be in a very, very bad spot. So this will be the best time to see, even if I don't pull for the flagship and that one team, that one flagship to significantly, you know, make it significantly easier to clear and entice me, right? Entice my free-to-play to pull. That will be a very, very good demonstration to see how we're gonna be cooking up. So that is gonna be good. That is gonna. My reply talking about Guvia pulls, but also chase shiny new toys. Yippee! Asshat. W. Play better. Unfortunately, when I told this guy to say play better, I am an asset. W fat. Bait used to be believable. Very good. Power creep can't happen without your consent. Say no to power creep now. Literally not what I said, but that is very, very good. Said by someone that E6 Jade. I didn't E6 Jade, by the way, but very, very good. Well, would you look at the dime? There is no power. Okay, yeah, so like for example, there's a lot of posts that assume that this take that I made is I think HSL has no power creep, right? So it is what it is. It is what it is. Mind you, this dumbass saying that power creep is only a problem when you allow it to happen while saying you need to pull for icons and idolins is just brain dead. Then what do you pull for then? Is that you are either a vertical player or a horizontal player, right? So I feel like this is pretty much the same sentiment as free-to-play players cannot own idolins, right? Free-to-play players cannot own signature icons. Free-to-play players can only play with E0 S0 DPS, right? You can only play every single different team. You can only play horizontally as a free-to-play, which I personally just don't feel is gonna be that valid, but a very, very good point. Y and full auto. W10 cycle, very nice. You can literally still clear a bit with Chao while you will be struggling with Jing Liu. How much does that tell us? W chill today. Now the dick eating is crazy though. Person you hate makes a good point. Very good. Just briefly render about this on whole because I was frustrating with MOC 12. The HP inflation is in proportion to my blood pressure inflation. I'll tell you something I've noticed is that you either get all the clear in one go or you just don't, be it MOC or any endgame. You could experiment with the most waggy team calls and some of them will work, or like suppose you need a brute force so you go sustainers. I'm not exaggerating. You need to not only have meta correctors, but also meta supports and meta sustains and meta idolins and meta lycons and overall a meta team as well. It won't work if, like, for example, back in 2023 was like, oh, you have Jing Liu, no problem, you can just make a god with just 4 stars and 5 stars. It is supposed to be endgame, it's supposed to be art. I'm gonna unleash gravitational disintegration. I know a guy that does it. Also, yes, sustainless isn't possible because you almost get one-shotted. I feel like this one is just a very, very classic example of like the comfort topic. How comfortable do you want this endgame to be? Because at the very, very start of the gacha game cycle, it is always going to be the easiest. Because it's like the free trial period for every single gacha game. Then as the gacha game develops more and more, you can still log in for the one unit, ideally as a free-to-play to vertical invest. But the moment you want to play like multiple teams, or you don't get that premium unit for that one team, you are gonna suffer, right? You are just gonna spend more time trying, get better quality accounts, or you are okay with not having as much comfort and just save up your strategies. Like, you can just don't pull. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just not, you don't even need a 3-star, the endgame environment, because the moment the pools you saved can be used up for a team comp, not a unit, a team comp that you actually want to play, then when that day comes, you are instantly going to be feeling a lot better without feeling pressured to pull just for the sake of clearing endgame content. So very, very good. Very, very true. Yo, this take has aged like wine, bro. Wait, is this the unit that's coming out? Ya Toro from Jan 8, 2025. Did bro predict our Yao Guang banner from 1 year ago? That is kind of crazy. Oh, it's Fu Hua. Okay, same picture, different picture. Huan Huan. I agree with Huan Huan. Agree or disagree, this tweet was one of the greatest cooks ever from Ager's Paradise. From MrPokke, that is. Out this with blood nearly double his stream's viewership. It's actually crazy, bro. I fear you discussion of about, and there it is. What happened to this battle? Oh. Okay, unfortunately it died. Pokke, you are a whale. Respectfully, you wouldn't understand how power creep affects the free-to-play players or low spenders. The solution isn't to just not allow it to happen. Even if I don't think power creep is that bad yet, it is still there and it is a problem. Power creep has always been here, as I have mentioned, right? But I think this tweet honestly aged very, very well because bro didn't know we were gonna hit up the ball, right? So going forward, version 4, I will see how this is gonna be cooking. This is coming from the guy whose entire pulling decisions are made by him swiping his credit hard on this kind of games, only to still play like a dumbass even with full whale teams. Is peak irony. WSO Steve, true to the name, true to Fu. HSR suffers terrible power creep because the gameplay is so simple. They literally can't sell you characters with mechanics alone because the game is the most simple turn-based game in existence, so they have to power creep. HSR is a shit game. Stop coping. He's right. Stellar Sora is more fun. I agree. Power creep is indeed a problem because you're allowed to happen. 0 cycle, 80k, blah, blah, blah is just a bonus. Also, having a good plan about who you pull and build a team is important. Wow. Okay, yeah, this guy gets it from very long ago, so that's right. Pokke, you are a whale. WY. Bait used to be believable. Power creep thing again. 1 point as an 4 of the shot. This aged very, very well. Oh shit, this aged exceptionally well. Where are the final mains? The My Day mains. Very, very nice. Making a statement, surely is ready for the pushback. Ooh, Zajev? Setting aside how this is probably intentionally abrasive language to bait engagement, it is kind of an interesting take. Personally, the biggest obstacle I experience in HSR is that I don't enjoy the game enough to play it more than once or twice, but the power creep. You know what? And that's completely valid. If you don't enjoy the game, just don't play. I think this is a 100% factual, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the whole global passive fiasco, where like people were quitting HSR because of global passive, but in reality, it's just like the game is just not fun for them anymore. So it's just not that deep. So W the Jeff, very, very good, very, very nice. Free-to-play players, oh my god, MOC is so hard. I must pull for every 5 stars. A player with almost every unit like of Mighty that can never struggle with MOC. Okay, very, very good. Very, very nice. Very, very good. Okay, I'm gonna skip through this a little because I kind of want to read the comments as well. Biggest HSR show. Typical shit show. We will say Aaron and get those CC freebies and advanced builds. This guy came back from military and saw the raid pill of all time. I want constructive criticism. Gotcha, CCs. Very, very good. It's literally forced. What crack am I on? W is an Aztec. HSR Glazers are worse than Genshiners at this point. I have no idea what that is. Yeah, sure. Very good. You will E6, Robin. Please don't. Please don't. Bruh moment. This guy is such a art. Stop coping. It's a gotcha game. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And nobody ever said anything else. So the insane HP inflation is my fault. I genuinely don't get it. Nope. It is your fault if you are just gonna be having a little bit of a greedy and stupid boost, right? I want to put my thoughts in this. Indonesia. Very good. Very nice. Very good. Okay, chat. I kind of just want to find that one screenshot where bro just said, shut the f up. Hold up. Hold up. Brexophone. Very good. Okay. Okay. Devs didn't listen. Oh my god, okay, chat. I don't think bro actually retweeted. Bro just took a screenshot and then just... Because it's actually one of our server emotes. Hold up. Is this server emote right here that I'm talking about? is by Zhong Li Day. Shut the up. My God, right? So that is essentially our last retweet interaction, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to kind of move on a little bit into the comment section. But that is going to be our take from 1 year ago. Very, very nice. Now, finally, we can get you. Okay, I'm not going to go through 388 comments, but I'll just try to handpick a little bit that's going to be like interesting and uninteresting, right? Sarah of the Lake. Bro used AI back since January 2020. Sarah of the Lake is the reason why RAM is $5 billion now. Because bro has been using AI since day one. Very, very good. Oh, you should have... yes, you have to E6 S5, a DPS in HSR, just to keep up with the meta. Yep, you absolutely have to. Can you imagine if bro actually did this? And surprise, surprise, the meta changed. Then what? You get what I'm saying? Ooh, that's a little bit unfortunate. The only ones who are greedy are gacha devs. Yeah. This statement, right? I've said it plenty of times. Anyone, okay, maybe not anyone, but almost anyone that plays gacha games are just inherently greedy. And I think my tweet, the reason why it was like so big, right, is that I think at the end of the day, gacha players just don't want to be called out for being greedy and stupid. Because I didn't really say anything that crazy, by the way. Like, people were making it out like I'm saying like the craziest rage-bait statement of all time. But looking back at it 1 year from now, I literally just said greedy and stupid. That's it. I didn't call them like a slur. I didn't say anything about like anything else aside from like the game itself. It is just, yeah, you're greedy and stupid. But the thing is, we are though. Like, I'm not even excluding myself. Like, I am a gacha game player and I admit that I am greedy. That's why I'm playing gacha games. And I've said that a lot of times. And there's just this weird pushback or like refusal to accept that you can get called out for being greedy for playing a gacha game. Which I just think is very strange. But and then what I do, it is what it is. Linear events into different archetypes to make it the floor buff or horizontal events to fall through every single content. The answer is always gonna be this. Because floor buff is gonna keep changing. You shouldn't rely on this just for the sake of the fast cut, right? Very good. Recently came back and I guess Kafka said I think are completely useless now. W makes you not want to invest time or effort to min-max your character since it will become obsolete in any way. Classic HSR elitists. People telling you to play based on meta. I still remember back in my prime Poke days, right? My prime Poke days. I came up with this called the 175 sparkle. I'm not sure if you guys remember back in like really long ago. Like MrPokke had this period, right? I came up with this tech for the 175 Sparkle, where you essentially ran Sparkle with Bronya and Runmei to get 6 turns on any DPS. And because of that video, I was like labeled as like the worst content creator ever because I was having unrealistic expectations on telling people to get a 175 Sparkle. And like, it is legitimately just like so silly because looking back at it now, I don't think anything would have changed. Because people just don't want to see that good of a quality of a build or using units to the maximum efficiency because they can't get it. And the moment a build becomes crazy good or like unrelatable, it's gonna get pushed back. It's a little bit similar to like if you were to talk about like nowadays, right? If you were to own like, even my free play account, if I were to own a E1 Tribby, it's like, oh, it's not free play because you have an E1 Tribby. So I think at the end of the day, it's like, people that play gacha games don't really want to care about a CC that can give clears and showcases with like good quality as units because it's something that they can't achieve. Therefore, what is the use of that build? So W elitist days, right? Exactly. People just get lucky. The pools get lucky. Of course, bro. We are free-to-play players. We lose all our pools and our subs and our like and everything. Very, very good. It's always the free-to-plays who pulls everything for the sake of free and gambling and shut. Okay, this guy gets it. So WWL take. There are already a discussion within the literal community, and I don't think it's all about skill shot or great on the play free to play. It is the developers keeping things harder so that people spend a little bit more for premium units. They are the ones that are greedy. Okay. So if the developers made the endgame harder, right? Why do you need to clear it? Or rather, not even like clearing, but why do you still want to get the same level of comfort clearing it back when it was in version 1? I think the best example in version 3, why do you need Remembrance Flagship? Because they are the most shield, right? Remembrance Flagship is the most shield in version 3. So why do you need to pull Remembrance Flagship? Just to clear. Because last time I checked, if you wanted to pull that flagship, is bare minimum 4 cost 起步 E0 S0, right? And then if you want to use RMC, you save 1 cost. That's without any of the signature icons. But so what? So what if you don't use Remembrance Flagship? If you want to use your Finon, your Mighty, or everything else, and let's say you don't even want to pull a single version 3 DPS, you still want to use your old version 2 team comps. Even if it's not as comfortable, but wouldn't you have saved up all those pulls you spent to chase meta, to chase the difficulty? Because you want to clear. But why though? Why do you want to clear? You get what I'm saying? So W, so the same greedy statement. Yeah, I mean, you're able to complete the endgame as free to play if you spend wisely. But if someone wants to use Blade or Chino because they like them, they just can't use them without losing 8 cycles. The game punishes you for liking characters out of meta. There's no... Okay, this is true. The game will punish you for liking characters that are not a flagship. Because there can only be one flagship. So that one flagship with the most amount of shield will be the easiest to clear. It's a little bit like, why would Xenon Zone 0 players want to play Banyue? Banyue is not the one getting shield, because it's going to be YSG, right? It's going to be YSG, it's going to be Void Hunters. So why should Banyue players get punished for trying out to use a DPS that's clearly not a Void Hunter? So why should HSR, why would Finon mains get punished compared to Remembrance Flagship? And ultimately, just an elf. Do you really need that path of least resistance? Because I don't think I do. Which is why my free-to-play account for Bob going into version 4, I will not be pulling the flagship. I will not be pulling that quote-unquote meta, that main flagship. And we will just stick with that alternative team. And we'll see how we're going to be doing from there, right? You can't clear endgame with all characters because they simply don't do enough damage. How is that not a power creep problem? You pull for better units. Scylla simply does not do the same amount of damage as Facial. Sunday can do... Holy shit, this tweet aged like milk, bro. Oh my god, this tweet aged like... Sunday can do everything Sparkle can, but just better. Wait, even this is like milk. Luocha can nowhere near sustain as well as a Ventry with the same investment when it turns out the moment a brand new HP meta comes in, Luocha sustain actually was a very, very good alternative for those players without Hyacinth. So this is like a perfect example of like, nothing is for sure. There's never a single moment where one unit will always be the best of the best for the rest of their lives. So W as a tricks. Absolutely insane take. Welcome into the video. Very nice. So the biggest lie was pull for the character you like, because if you don't pull for the right one, your ingredients you have not following MOC. Absolutely diabolical take. Nope. You pull for the character you like, yes, but you don't pull for every other unit that you think you like again and again and again. That is literally the definition of being greedy, right? So like right now, you like, let's just say you like My Day because of the shower scene. But the moment the next match comes in, oh wait shit, I like a Nexa now. Oh wait shit, I like Final now. And you just keep changing and changing because the game is designed for you to like them, right? That is like the predatory version of like Hoyoverse, right? Or like any gacha games, right? They design for you to like those units. But why would you want to keep pulling more and more things and you just dump your old toys away, right? You just leave all of your DPS with like 0 or like 1 cost investments and you just don't pull for any of the supports or vertical investments, and you then like, oh my god shit, I ran out of strategies, especially as free play. So very, very good. What blood thing to add. If you're ever about to die, just say no. You legally can't die without consent. And there it is. Oh man, my fault for not putting E2 deal just so you can get shit on by an E0 Firefly. Or my... Chat, wouldn't it be crazy if E2 deal completely pops off in version 4? Okay, for now, this thing, I can't say anything yet. Because I don't know what the version 4 elation meta is going to be. But if E2 deal actually pops off, then congratulations, this thing absolutely aged. Hey, becomes blah, blah, blah. Power creep is not even the biggest problem. The problem is that the devs don't innovate and increase difficulty just to add more zeros. Where are the new... Okay, this is actually the same thing that we're talking about. Whether or not the HSR has a 4-star problem. So, I already made my stance previously, which is basically 4 stars won't solve the main thing, even if you are free to play and you want a 4-star alternative. So that I thought the war it is actually over. You should be a very, very happy player. Or by not giving feedback on HP inflation, I'm a new player, blah, 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 blah. I've always appreciated how, okay, 1 out of 3 is a little bit low. There's no power creep, right? So this is the same statement that people think that I said there's no power creep. Very, very good, very, very nice. Unironically, if you have these 2 units from back in version 2.0, your account would actually be like set, bro. It would actually be set for so long, even set for version 4. Because Black Sword actually got buffed. So unironically, this is like a super, super good account if you are going to be a DOT main. Very, very good. Everyone getting you to do is insane. What if I don't want to put for... Yep, exactly. So the same thing. Free to play should never put for idlers, right? You should only put for E0 as0, so I'm not going to go that much. The moment a gacha player needs to play and puts this meticulously and creating, instead of putting for the curse to die, blah, 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 then you know something wrong has happened. So that's going to be that. You are allowed to say pocket does it if you want to blah, 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 blah. Yep, absolutely. 11 cost 3 cycle first half, 8 cost 5 cycle second half full auto. The only 2 minus DPS that I put for Facial and Firefly, they could clear faster, but where's the fun in that? And that is absolutely valid. Okay, imagine if this is a team that bro used 1 year ago, right? This team is set because they got buffed. And DOD is like super, super solid. This team, if it uses exact same setup without pulling for a single Amphorius unit, he can then hard pivot all in to version 4 with the full version 4, whatever elation is going to be. So he kind of just save like a billion, okay, maybe not, but a lot of pools just because they don't want to change his mana. So this is very, very good, very, very nice. Cannot treat anyone seriously. Just don't be lucky while playing gacha games. Absolutely insane take. I'm just gonna give an example like other Hoyo games. Genshin. Okay, this is the same guy, so that's gonna be that. Let me in Genshin Impact. Okay, in Genshin Impact, I have 2 DPS, Hu Tao and Nervlet. Hu Tao can breeze through floors 9 and 11 and struggle, but get the job done in floor 12. Nervlet breezes through 9 and 11 and struggles less in floor 12. In HSR, I have Scylla and Facial. Scylla doesn't clear shit, and Facial is doing okay until 3.0 enemies appears, I suppose. HSR is wasting our time. The time invested in Scylla is on the garbage, just like Qingyuan. Bro came dead on arrival. Exceptional W. This is why Genshin Impact is the greatest game, right? Genshin Impact is a game that you can pretty much just use whatever you want to do, and you can still clear every single angle. I'm not too sure how well this take has aged for Genshin Impact because I don't really know shit about Genshin Impact. But Genshin Impact means y'all can go ahead and let me know how well this take has aged for them, right? Power creep won't happen if the dev don't wake up and choose to increase boss HP. Okay, should I spend money and get my E6? Exceptional. Blah, 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 blah. This is good, by the way. This is good. The one that you can choose a bar for MOC is genuinely a good take. So hopefully they can actually implement this in the future, because we already have this for Pure Vision as well as Apex Shadows, right? Okay, chat, we have been yapping for almost 1 hour. So if we have any last sentiments, absolute cinema. If we have any last sentiments, I will now be reading from chat directly, because like I mentioned, 388 comments is a little bit insane. So now it is chat's time. Alright, I will save this last couple of minutes just for chat. Alrighty, chat. Okay, YouTube chat, unfortunately, I can't show you, otherwise I'll get banned. Witchers, how are y'all? I'll pick a random guy. I'll pick Hu Tao Plunge. Oh, Genshin take H that mute. Nervlet is now other dog shit. Okay, that's gonna be very... Current ammo C12 is good for power DPS. That's very, very nice. That's very... Genshin's power creep has been crazy since Mavuega. I mean, I wouldn't know. Turn-based game can't be carried by skill. Genshin has been at absolute cinema. Strategy is power skills, especially Stygian or the theater. Oh my god, you know what's crazy? What if after this video, we play Genshin endgame? That would be pretty crazy. We'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. A power is only bro if you don't. Bro knows. Very. Should I get something on the hell no? Genshin got star realified. I think the scoring system plays a huge part in people feeling HP inflation from a patch. You suddenly can't zero cycle, but in Genshin, nobody gives a shit if you can't clear in 50 seconds or 1 minute. Okay, that is pretty true. Maybe like the concept of like the number of cycles, right? It makes it more digestible for players to see like their performance. Like nobody really cares that much if like you clear within like sub 1 minute or 1 minute 10, because in reality it's just like 10 seconds. But I know for a fact that if you want to squeeze out that additional 10 seconds, it will take a lot of effort. Just like for example in Zenless Zone Zero. But people won't really feel that because you would just think, oh, it's just 10 seconds. Because like for example in Zenless, you already get an S rank. And then nowadays we have S Pass, right? But HSR is like 0 cycle, bro. The chase for the 0 cycle. And if you can't get a 0 cycle, then like, you're kind of gone. So I think this is fair, right? They made the cycle count way too obvious for people to take a POV, right? Very. Genshin endgame is copying HSR. Nervlet is gonna pick up another support and his dog shit, okay? You'll get bored from... I love Genshin. Pokke blessed me with Wagyu pools and won my 50-50. That's very good. It's only stars for ZZ is more apparent because of the scoring system. As someone who fits the free-to-play bot command, I would say that pool planning needs to be taken seriously because I can't clear shit because I didn't vertically invest in Vega. How can I become handsome like you? That's a great question. 0 cycle is mid just clear. Most people understood what you said, but the thing in order to join the hate train like the sheep they are, people don't understand how much the buff is doing. As long as you can just meet the halfway free damage and clear 5 cycle, just you're absolutely right. It's just that HSR really has like a big problem where like people think like it's the norm to clear in 0 cycles or like clear in 1 cycles. And the moment they can't clear in that number of cycles, it's like, oh my god, it's literally unplayable. Like from all those comments you have seen, right? It's like what used to be the norm from like the start of the patch with the shield environments and everything is like, shit man, bro, my Jingliu can clear in 0 cycles, right? We have a level 40 0 cycle Jingliu clear on my channel back in 2024, right? But it will go away. The thing is, the norm shouldn't be 0 to 1 cycles. With the MOC buff, APOC, Pure Fiction, all these things, there are like a lot of tools to still get yourself within that 10 cycle counter. Because like for the best example, right, is Zenless Zone Zero. The bar for like S rank is actually very achievable for the most part. I'm not sure about S plus, but S rank is pretty achievable, right? Even with the new update, as proven as a Zenless Zone Zero tourist, S is almost like not an issue for the most part, right? So like HSR is like the moment it doesn't hit, let's just say like 1 or 2, it will let you think that it fell off by so hard, when in reality the crutch is still there for you to get the full clear. So very good take from Sarah of the Lake. I feel like this is somewhat correct. Power is okay. I don't know why I broke up, but I'm a slight spender. I'm at top 1.2% on the unluckiest of tracker. Oh my god, that's really unfortunate. HSR really needs content in that story where you can actually play the character base game with 0 shows, so we can actually evaluate. I hate Hoyo shooting everything. You know what they need? Chodomari. There's one game mode that will really fit this criteria. Ranked RT. Okay, I want to wrap up this round. Every gacha game has power creep, but HSR has the fastest power creep because you can't do shit in turn-based game because you're getting hit 100 and you're gonna do the damage you're gonna be doing. You can try really hard in games like Genshin, Wawa, Zenless. You can do some card cancel, do some to get more. I feel like this take reminds me a little bit of like EO's take. Okay, yo, MrPokke, this will be my last take before I end on this video. The ability to do things in Zenless Zone Zero, Wawa, and Genshin, right? Because you can input more commands, you can dodge card cancel to make it like more easy for you. Whereas like HSR doesn't have as much input as a turn-based game is completely true. But the thing is, you would still need to spend in the amount of time it would have taken you to master those things. Because I would dare say 90% of the player base in Genshin, Valorant, and Zenless Zone Zero, they are not doing those things. They are still playing like super casually, right? If people can't learn speed tuning in like, for example, Honkai Star Rail, I don't think people are learning like Kara cancelling and parrying and like the skill rotations in all these action games. But what is possible in these games, they are definitely a lot higher than what might be possible in HSR, because your input in HSR is like not that much. It's like you're talking about like a Monster Hunter speedrunner. Like, what are the theoretical best timings for MH? And taking that as an example of like, oh my god, you know what? There's no power grid Monster Hunter. Even though there are like definitely classes that will do like way better. It is just that HSR, you can't see them as much compared to these kind of action games. But it doesn't really matter, because majority of the people that play all these games, they are still casuals. HSR included. Genshin, Valorant, they're all casuals. And casuals in whatever kind of action games, right? While it is possible, right? For example, it is possible to, like, dungeon solo, right? It is possible to end on solo. You can't deny the fact that HSR is the game with the fastest power creep, because all these other games will also have their own ways of making power creep. And to an average casual player, they will still feel it. You can say that the elitists, right? The top 1% of Zenless, Wonder Waves, and Genshin, they probably won't feel this because they can car cancel. They can play better, right? But this wouldn't apply to casuals because they wouldn't do all those things at the end of the day. So I would say that, okay, this is a little bit spicy, but this is just my personal opinion. Slop glorbing, Mimi, right? Slop glorbing. I think HSR honestly is like very accessible to casuals, especially because of the units that they give you and the options you can run to clear endgame content. So RMC being a free unit, MOC debuff having like so many different things, and clearing within the cycle required for 3-star, I think it is more accessible in HSR than these games for casuals. I'm not talking about the elitists. If you compare elitists to elitists, right, there are probably like way better elitist clears with lower costs in these games. But like for the actual clears in the casual community, I legitimately think HSR is not that far off, if not maybe even better compared to these games. But this one is just purely subjective, so that's gonna be that. But I am going to wrap up this video over here. So it has officially been 1 year since my takeover year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The word of the day is going to be Gah. I would love to engage with YouTube chat, but I can't show y'all. So I will talk about this after the video ends, right? Join Discord, use code POKE for them on the gamer subs. All the fuck, I'll just get it. Bye.